Yeah, there was this one guy. We got totally stomped in a game. Totally stomped. Like, really bad. Like, it was embarrassingly bad how bad we got stomped. And at the end, he's like, I queued for 17 fucking minutes for. And then it just cuts off as we disconnect from the game. Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Gonzalez. With you today is our good old friend, Jay.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Jay?
Great, man. I am so excited for One Piece. Just everything One Piece right now.
I have the song
games
stuck
and
in my
games
head.
galore.
It's gaming tone deaf, like ha na ha 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 da na 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 One Piece. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite is bum 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 bum.
Oh yeah. They also had it for on TikToks for a little bit where it's like bum ba bum ba bum ba bum.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Where I'm like, because I'm not on TikTok, but every once in a while, Adriana would watch it. I'm like, I like how they're using One Piece. She's like, huh? I'm like, that's a One Piece sound. She's like, this? I'm like, yeah, that's like the interstitials.
It was reverse. I was watching One Piece and she's like, huh, is that where it's from? And she's like, how come they don't do the other sound? And I was like, I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It would make a great second half of a TikTok, you know? Bang.
Right, and that's where love those.
Yeah.
But those are not the TikToks that we were talking about today. Today we are creating something new. Every week on We Are Not Game Devs, we imagine a brand new video game idea from our minds. Join in on the fun, be creative, and if you have your own unique video game idea or want to patch ours, write into outboundgames@gmail.com. Today is my turn to present We Are Not Game Devs' 235th IP. We're going to go with this basic concept. I'm going to have you choose your own adventure. One is a classic food Alex game that I came up with. And the other one is kind of a horror game. Which do you decide?
Door number 2, please.
Door number 2. Okay. So there's this idea that I came up with where you're a kid that's being haunted. And you have to do certain things. And it's going to be a mystery game where you're trying to figure out what this thing is trying to get after you. And what it's going to be is it's going to be like a mimic mechanic where at any point, any object or any person or things in the background will slowly start shifting into the antagonist monster trying to get at you. Imagine like an It character. Where like all of a sudden a school child will slowly start turning and looking at you, or like you'll be doing normal persona stuff and then you'll see like a kid slowly start looking at you and you have to recognize or do certain things, or you'll have a panic meter build up. I'm not sure how.
I know how it's going to work. I got you.
But I think it would be really cool to do this, but then on the offsets, like you'll tell your friends about it and they'll start noticing too, or you'll take them and then they'll all be cursed and you have to figure it out. Maybe one of your friends dies along the way, or you have to do certain things to prevent people from dying, where there's a perfect run where you can save everybody, but otherwise you have to follow these trail of clues and learn about the monster in order to protect yourself better.
All right. I got this. I've got this in the bag.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like, let's say your mom's cooking you dinner in the kitchen, then all of a sudden you'll hear the TV turn, and then all of a sudden your mom's not your mom, but you don't notice, or your dog's not your dog. But so it's going to keep the player on edge the whole entire time. Because if it were me, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, what's going to change? Nothing's changed in a while. Is he here now? I don't know where the thing is.
Yeah. Let's say this game takes place in New England, America in, let's say, like 1912 or some fucking shit like that. And you live in this big old house with lots of rooms, just rooms galore. You know what I mean? Big old creepy house with tiny little rooms, and there's just a lot of them. And the whole game is going to play kind of like a single player Among Us. Right, where you have the whole game, it's going to give you some clue in a room, and you're going to have to follow that clue, go to another room and find something, and then that's going to take you to go to this other room, and then blah, 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 blah. And then things ensue along the way. You can go on side paths and figure other mysteries out and save other people, or get special events if you go into some other rooms at certain times. during certain quests. And the entire time, the mimic monster that's cursing is gonna, in each room, it's gonna be random where it's gonna be, but like it'll take form, and so you have to really learn the house really well to be able to identify what's off. And there's going to be a lot of clutter and stuff that the mimic could be, and it's going to be hard to memorize the map in that way.
And absolutely. And to add in, I think there'd be cool if at night it gets stronger. So then there could be some Kojima-esque type shit where you exit a room and the hallway's completely changed. And there's like, and you're like in a sewer for some reason, and there's dead bodies floating by, and you hear laughing, and then like you get to the end of a sewer, open a door, and you're back into the house, and you're like, what?
That is a really cool addition. I like that. And I like the idea after you catch the ghost, the ghost successfully scares you or whatever it is, you see it kind of go into a spirit mode and go into a door and then out into the house again. And then it's just going to be random where you encounter it again. You just have to notice it. And I think the mechanic is the thing haunting you is going to get closer and closer until it successfully scares you. And that's going to bring up like a panic meter or something like that. Or you have to identify where it is before it gets to you and scares you. And then that'll have it run away, and then maybe that will gain your sanity by a smaller percentage than if you lose it. Right.
I was thinking we could do something like very simple stuff where you could have salt, you could have a flashlight where there's going to be battery charging on the flashlight. Salt would be an expendable thing that you can refill, but you can do salt circle around you. You can do a salt circle or salt barrier to try to help, but if they get you, they'll just kill you. So like if you spend too much time, they'll eventually, something will happen where it will come and it'll just kill you.
Maybe we can make it so you can make small barriers so you could block the spirit off in certain hallways. Once you learn the house well enough, you could block off certain ways so you know it's gonna not go through a certain way, but it'll only last a certain amount of time until it goes away somehow. And that could happen very easily. So you could like set these salt traps around to have like very disposable ways of protecting yourself if you're at like a high insanity level or whatever, and you can't take any more.
Yeah, and I was thinking there's certain things that you can do where, let's say, if you're walking along the road, because I don't think you're going to spend the whole time in the house. You'll be going in between and researching in New England. If it's a rainy day and then you're carrying your salt with you, and then a car randomly splashes a puddle on you and you see all your salt go to zero, then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I don't have any barriers. But otherwise you're going to be thinking in almost like a puzzle-like sense, right? Where you're going to enter a room and be like, I don't know where the mimic is, but I have to be prepared. I need to get this book to research. I need to talk to this person. I need to do it in time. I don't know about permanent deaths versus non-permanent deaths, because I do think it would be cool on the onset that you have to reach a person before this mimic does, because they're going to be haunting and cursing you, so they'll also know the kind of trail as well. And the more people you talk to about it, the more power it gets. As I don't know why I'm just making this stuff up, but the more people that know about it or speak its name, it starts to gain power as it starts to have an awareness. I don't know if that's how spirits work. I'm just basing it off other video games and media. You know what I'm talking about? Where there's a cultural relevance. For some reason, it absorbs the energy of people talking about it.
Sure. Yeah, I get you.
Where it can appear in different people or at different people's houses and go that route.
Yeah. I think that what it could be kind of like and how you could interact with more people. Because I think, you could go out of the house sometimes. I think most of the game is going to be taking place inside the house, really learning the home and like figuring out to spot where the mimic is, I feel like it's going to be like Beetlejuice situation where the parents are in denial about all the weird stuff that is happening, and they'll have like dinner parties and have a bunch of people over, and crazy spooky stuff happens at these parties, and they'll have like people come through that are like businessmen and lawyers and stuff like that. That stuff could happen with family members coming through, like cousins and stuff like that. Other kids that live in the neighborhood can walk through. Having a housewarming party, and a bunch of different ways that could get other people through the house. In terms of death and how that works, I think it's just gonna be a quick reset and a lot of autosaves, and then like it'll reset from the last room that you just entered from, and then you can play through again. Or if it's like you've gained so much insanity after your couple of deaths, if you keep dying over and over and over again, it'd be like, do you want to go back 5 rooms? And then it'll like take you 5 rooms back where you might have been in a better space, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I think in between that too, we shouldn't let off where we should do things to mess with the player as well, where there's different cutscenes depending on the continues. Where let's say if you die 3 or 4 times in a row, there's a special cutscene unlocked where it's like the mimic just talking, or you're in a dreamlike state. Or I was even thinking this is going a little further, but if you do a continue twice or 3 times, it'll wake up and it's the next day. And you'll be going through like thinking that you didn't have to do that part anymore, and then you'll hear laughing or different stuff happening, or have it where everyone in the that you interact with in the house has no face, and then you wake up and you have to do the puzzle room again. You're right back where you started. You're like,
I
fuck.
like it.
You
like
know,
little
small
RNG in
little
like
mental
encounters
tricks.
Yeah, like events, like little event cards that are like little random
Just curveballs
encounters.
like happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it to keep the player on their toes.
Right. So, okay. What I have here is we have different puzzles, and this is basically going to be a timed puzzle adventure where there's going to be a time limit set for each part of the puzzle. If you don't reach that part of the puzzle, you die. During that time, insanity is going to build. And what that means is the mimic monster, whatever this is going to start slowly taking form. And as it starts taking form, shit's starting to look more and more fucked up, to the point where it becomes a little bit more hellscapey in such a way, whether that means distortion, blood leaking out of the walls, people turning different kinds of shapes. And what I kind of wanted to do was that there was going to be major ways that you can research this monster, the curse, or whatever this could be. And you're going to have different ways to tackle this. And there's going to be different tomes in different parts of the house that you can all approach at different points. Do whichever one you want first, or second, or third. And depending on how you do that, you have a certain amount of time to get this stuff done. If you get it done sooner, better. If you get it done later, people start to die. There's newspaper stuff. I don't think it's going to be anything critical, but maybe the world's just going to be a little bit more darker. There's going to be things that are happening that are a bit more grotesque, so to say.
Yeah. I think all that is really good. I think that in terms of the timing, I like how all the mission-based stuff is all timed, and I think like it I think there'll be a way to turn back time, like a mechanic to like turn the clock back a little bit. Maybe it's just the reset by rooms, like how many rooms you want to go back, and that'll bring your time back. Like maybe every time you enter a door, the time moves 5 minutes or something like that. Like that would be the minute.
Yeah.
And then there'll be like secret passages to shorten times, and then you can like find those and look for those. Also, I think that all the secondary stuff, like finding about the spirit and like learning about the spirit, and then that'll also give you like maybe new ways to fight it in terms of how to use the house to your advantage. It won't go into certain rooms because of this, or it won't go into a room with a fire lit and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Or like that type of things. But I don't think that should be timed. I think all that stuff is optional quests that you could go find in the house.
And I want there to be 3 main mechanics that you have. You have salt, you have a flashlight, and I want you to have a camera. The flashlight's going to shine a light and keep you safe. The camera's going to be a strong, bright flash that you can use, as well as a camera, which is going to be your true sight, because somehow it messes with your eyes, but whatever you print out in the photos is real. So sometimes you might not see the mimic, but if you take a picture, you'll be able to see it clean as day. So it's one of those mechanics where you take a picture and it's going to be a Polaroid, and you're trying to wait for it to develop to see what's really there. So you can enter a room and maybe take 2 or 3 Polaroids before it has to charge to see if you can scout for the monster.
I also think there should be 4-ish hour gap. So maybe it's a time loop that you could play through, and you have to manage time and stuff. And I think there should be like a 3 to 4 hour gap, and it changes depending on your insanity level, where you are in the story, and how well you're doing so far. But I think that 3 to 4 hour gap will just be a safe time to explore the house, see what the effects of your decisions and how quickly you're able to solve the mystery, what has done to the NPCs and your parents and all that stuff. And it's just like everything's normal, and that's where you could like restock on salt. That's where you could like set traps, make explore the house a little bit, look for more lore, more optional quests, finish off some quests that are like lingering still in a safer environment, or find clues to a quest that you need to find, and maybe that's your biggest priority, maybe, is to go find the next clue to be able to solve the mystery that you're trying to work on at that given time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also want there to be another mechanic. I'm just throwing in all the fun stuff I love from horror games. I want it to be able to access your PSN files and the other games you've played. And that's so that when you log into that game, it goes, maybe there's going to be some comment like, you pretend to be a Greek god, but we all know you're just a weak little human coming back as a weak human. And then maybe it'll go from there, and it'll make comments about the games that you're playing, or even maybe make comments about the gamer tags of the people you play with. And I think that would just be a fun little thing where it's like, hey, do you think that Jay is actually your friend, or, you know, your PSN name? Does it actually think that Papers is your friend? Do you really think so? Kind of thing. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Or if I could even go so far to go Psychomantis, it would be really cool if it turned on your second controller and then made it vibrate in your house.
I mean, if that's possible, I don't see why not.
See, and I would want to go even further and recommend that you play with headphones, and we'll have it working for PS Pulse. So then there'll be 3D audio that you hear as you play through the game.
Yeah.
And no, I guess that would be too far. That would go, that would creep the fuck out of people. And then I'd be like, and then if I could go even further on the PS menu, if you're hovering over the game, then I would want it to be once you get past like a certain point in the game, let's say 25%, if you're hovering over the tile, it will start talking to you. And maybe changes the theme.
In the UI, but
I think that would be a game where if I were much, much younger, I was scared of spooky games. I'd be like, never. I'd like hit the button 3 times to go over it.
Yeah. But no, I like all of it. I think it's a good idea. But in terms of art style, which also gives way to who I think should make this game, I think it should look like Don't Starve.
One of those.
Don't Starve looks
I was thinking it should look. I want it to look more like Control, like a 3D type of look to it. Just because with the 2D art style, it can get scary, but then I would want it to go very disturbing, like Spiral.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it would end up being, I haven't played these games, what I think people describe Limbo and Inside to kind of get to. But I think the Don't Starve, I just see how it would work. You just walk around, but in a house, and then there's like doors everywhere you go through. There's like books lined up, and you could see clearly all the books, and they're all like hand drawn. And then it would be easily made to like get crazier and crazier in art style. You'll have the flashlight, salt, and then pictures. You take it, and then it'll like print out, and it'll like the inventory would take up the full screen, but you could kind of still see the background and stuff like that. But I'm down for 3D, like Prey style, like actual really good looking graphics.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because that way, when things slowly start to change in your periphery, we can mess with small details. So we can slowly add as it goes on, and then really play with those shadows.
Right.
So in terms of sounds here, no music or very, cello, Nothing really too crazy.
Yeah,
Maybe one cello playing, and
I'm down
then
with that. Just one cello.
and like wind chimes, like very just small ambient sounds being played here, and an organ. Or if you're using the piano, one half of the piano. Maybe in the beginning section where it talks about you moving into this house, you're using the left side of the piano, and
Yeah.
then as you slowly progress,
Nah,
it goes over to the right
scratch all
side.
that. Just one cello the entire time. That's it.
Make it super sad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not even a cello. Let's make it an oboe. The
an
giant
oboe.
clarinet. Yeah.
So that leads in. We have what it looks like. We have the basic concept. We have the price. We have the music for pricing. I kind of want this to be like a $50 full pop horror game. Really give it to people.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be a full price game anyhow. Even when I thought it was the Don't Starve art direction, I think it would have been big enough and deep enough and enough replayability
Yeah,
where it
with
would
and
warrant a full price.
adaptive triggers all the way through. Different kind of vibrational feedback, all of it. All right, Jay, let's get your timer out because we're going to name this game.
Go.
I actually don't have a name planned at all.
Haunted.
Super simple.
Yeah. Shadows.
What if we called it inheritance? Like it's like a curse. Like
Sure.
we always do this shit where at least I always do. I'm not gonna say we. Where I'm like, I'm gonna change now the basis of the game to fit my name. Where I was about to say, you
Right.
inherit the house, and then the curse is the actual inheritance. Or
Or
the inheritance is you move into this house, and this is where this curse is living.
Sure, why not? Inheritance. It's 45 seconds, but I paused it because I thought we are just going to go with it. And where I
Okay.
paused it was at 27.
No problem. So, Inheritance is a horror game where you play as a character who moves into a house in New England. I don't know how New England plays any role into this, but I'm sure it does.
It's
And
just old.
just
An older part.
history.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. It wouldn't make the same sense to have a haunted ranch, one-story home in Sedona, Arizona, right? With the red
Or
rocks.
like California.
in San
Place that was
Diego.
built in 1900.
Yeah, or like you're like in Mission Bay, San Diego, you enter a horror house, and it's like, well, it sucks being haunted, but these walks at the beach help.
Yeah.
So you're in New England, and you're in this house that's being haunted, and you have to figure out what's going on. You have an insanity meter. They give you a flashlight, salt, and a camera, and you have to do several missions to research, find what is the source of this cause, and try to get there and solve it, and rid yourself of the inheritance before it inherits you. All right. So I think we have a game here, Jay. What do you think? Would this be a game you would want to play, and is it fun?
I think it sounds pretty fun. But if it is super 3D, very realistic, probably won't give it a shot. But it sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah, I think I would give this game a shot. It came from my mind. However, I think this game would be one of those games that I would want to play with lights on, or it's like a streaming game,
Yeah. Definitely a streaming game for sure. Streaming always does well.
Now that we have a complete game, what game studio would you assign to be able to make Inheritance the best?
I'm still gonna push for that Don't Starve art style, and if they do it, that's Clay Entertainment. I think it would be cool if it was.
No, I'm not saying it wouldn't.
The Don't Starve guys, but really, I think I would give to Housemark, the Returnal guys, and then just take lighter roguelike mechanics with the rooms and stuff. They do like cool environments. Just it'll be like when you walk through the house in Returnal, and then creepy stuff happens in that house.
Yeah, I think that inspired me without me realizing.
Yeah, So I think Housemarque with their Returnal, it's the next evolution of Returnal, but less combat focused, which Housemarque does not do that. They're a very combat focused studio. But
salt, camera, combo.
Yeah, but I think it would be a cool side project for them while they're working on the next big arcade game.
I was just thinking, wind, perfect timing as you're going through. I was thinking Arcane. You know, they came out with Prey and they haven't come out with another game. If they were to do a small game of that nature, taking kind of this stuff in, I think that cult audience would really appreciate it.
I was thinking Arcane, but the thing is, this sounds like you want it to be kind of PlayStation focused, but with
I know.
Bethesda being under Xbox, not possible.
I do think though that like this whole Xbox and like hacking thing, it would probably go down better on Xbox with Games Pass and stuff, where they would probably allow them to have us to have the access to the data of Games Pass, so that it could kind of prank you here and there. Because it would be really, really cool if while this game was installed, or if the game was running and you pressed home, it hacked your Xbox and changed certain things. So icons would go, or even better, if it messaged you. Like it was a user that messaged you while you were home doing stuff. Or you received voice messages. I would be creeped out.
Definitely.
All right. And with that, our 235th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that will probably never release. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to give us extra support, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. For just $1, patrons receive episodes early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which you caught the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if they ask for a review instead of reviewing our show, become your in-game critic and review Inheritance, the video game we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is AG.
And I'm J.E.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs. The game we all missed out on today was about grains of rice.
Why don't you just save that for your next time?
I am. It's just a teaser.
Got it.
Grains of rice. And they're going to be cute as fuck.
Honestly, that sounds really cool. But what I gotta re-emphasize, you gotta get into this One Piece card game, man. We'll play over Skype. I'm down. Or not Skype, but Discord. We'll put the camera down on our hands.
Dude, if that's
play.
It'd be fun. And then honor system for cheating.